All right, everyone, here we go. So today's lesson, make sure, first of all, before I get started, be sure you have paper, notebook, paper or notebook, and a pencil, writing utensil to write down these notes, right? So today's lesson is called Powers of I, Algebraic, right? If you notice, we have our imaginary key here. We have a picture of our imaginary key. We're going to be using that a lot today. So, our first bullet point here, right? It says use blank key. What do you guys think? Yes, you got it. Imaginary. Imaginary key. We are going to use this dude right here a lot, right? So, but we have been, so no change in that. Okay. Next, it says combine, right? Our next bullet point says combine like, combine like what? You guys know. Yes, exactly. Terms. We are going to combine like terms whenever we can combine like terms. We're not going to force it. If we can't combine like terms, then we can't. It is what it is, right? And bullet point number 3, or eyeball, right? Or I number 3, says use a plus blank form. What do you think? A plus blank form. You guys know what it is. BI form, right? Meaning real number goes first, imaginary number goes second, right? So let's take a look, okay? First thing we do always before working is we look at the instructions. The instruction says express in simplest terms. That means that we're going to break everything down until it can't be broken down anymore, right? Okay, so let's take a look. Let's look at our first example right here. This reads negative 7x I to the fourth plus negative 7y I squared. Well, here I noticed this is I to the fourth. And I to the fourth in my imaginary key is equal to 1. So I'm going to substitute here my I to the fourth, and I'm going to say 1. So I'm going to bring down everything else, negative 7x. Okay? So negative 7 times 1 here, right? Negative 7 times 1 is just negative 7. So I get negative 7, and then I just bring down my x. There's that. Perfect. Now, let's do this dude right here. Well, I to the second, well, wait a minute. Look at my imaginary key here. I to the second is negative 1. So I'm going to substitute I to the second as well. I to the second is negative 1. Well, I'm going to bring down my 7y. And 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. Right? Negative 7. And then I just bring down my I. Right? So these are my two answers here. I'm going to write them together. Alphabetical order, right? Well, first of all, wait a minute. Are these two like terms? Can I add these two suckers together? Of course not, right? And the reason is because they don't have the same variable. This one has an x, and this one has a y. Cannot combine them. So I'm going to write them together with the x going first, right? X before y, negative 7x, and negative 7y going second. And that right there is my expression simplified, my expression in simplest form, right? I can't do anything more with it anymore. I can't combine it. I can't add these two together. There's no more substituting like I did here. So I'm done. Perfect. Okay. Let's do our second example here. So let us substitute. So x to the fourth. I'm going to go over here to my imaginary key. X to the fourth is equal to 1. So let us substitute x to the fourth as 1. So bring down everything else, just like that. And 3 times 1, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3x. So, done with that, dude. Right? Let's do this guy now. I, well, how much is I? I to the first. Well, I to the first is just I. So this guy just stays I. So I'm just going to write it over. 9xi. Right? Positive. So the question here is, can I combine these two? Are these two like terms? Well, maybe you're thinking to yourself, yes, I can, because look, x and x. But what does this dude have extra that this one does not? That I right there, exactly. So that makes them not like terms. If this dude had an I also, then yes, they would have been like terms. But since it doesn't have an I, then they are not like terms. So what I'll do is I'm going to write them down. Negative 3x and plus 9xi. And this one goes second because it has the imaginary, right? So there's that. Look at that. That's our second kind of problem, second example. Right? Look at that. Now, let's do this dude right here. So, I to the power of 2. Well, if I look at my imaginary key, I to the power of 2 is negative 1, right? So let us substitute with Dodger Blue here. I to the power of 2 is negative 1. And I'm going to bring down my 4y. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Why? I don't know why. Why? Sorry, guys. That was a lame joke, Dad. Dad joke. That was not on purpose, by the way, but it ended up being a dad joke. But, yes. Let's move on. Let's ignore that. Let's pretend that that didn't happen. Okay? I to the fourth. What is I to the fourth in our imaginary key right here? Can't find it. There it is. I to the fourth is 1. So let us substitute I to the fourth as 1. And I'm going to bring down my 8y. So 8 times 1 is 8y. And that's a positive. Okay? Now look, wait a minute. I know you guys see it. You see it, I see it, we both see it. Look at this. Y and y. There's no extra I here. There's no extra I here. There's no extra x that this one doesn't have. They're both exactly the same. That means that they are like terms. So I can combine these two dudes right here. Positive 8 and negative 4 are not the same sign, so I have to subtract. 8 minus 4 is 4y, and it is a positive 4y because 8 is bigger and 8 is a positive. And this is the simplest form. And these, guys, are the notes for Powers of I Algebraic. Make sure you've written everything down. Make sure you rewind to answer questions. Okay? And you are good. Thank you for being here and listening to my corny dad jokes for Powers of I Algebraic.